The chamber reeked of iron and pride. Sharp-edged banners from a dozen alien war clans hung like trophies from the vaulted ceiling. Beneath them, armor giants bickered, spat, and laughed, none louder than Warlord Scar Dravuin. He leaned forward, his scaled fingers drumming on the obsidian war table. His voice, deep and grating, echoed through the granite halls. "So this human is what Earth sends to our council," he scoffed. "A liaison with no armor, no retinue, no rank worth mentioning? Where is your warlord, Earthman? Did he die of old age?" A ripple of laughter rolled around the table. Lieutenant Commander Cole Maddox didn't flinch. He sat still, spine straight, eyes steady, like stone in a river of noise. His uniform was plain, gray, diplomatic, and intentionally forgettable. A single faded patch on his left sleeve marked him as Observer Class. His only adornment, a pair of scuffed dog tags resting against his chest like an afterthought. He spoke calmly. "I'm not here to trade insults, Warlord. I came to represent peace. The Treaty of Vaeltar, signed by all of you. Including you, Dravuin." Scar sneered. "Treaties are parchment. We burn parchment when the wind changes." "Wind hasn't changed," Maddox replied. "Just your ego." The room tensed. A Idrithi general clicked his mandibles in distaste. Across from Maddox, a Vokari war priest hissed through his tusks. "You dare speak like that to the Pact?" Scar growled, rising to his full height. The tips of his armor scraped the ceiling beams. "You wear no blade. You carry no rank. Who are you to remind us of oaths made in weakness?" Maddox stood, slow and deliberate. He was half the warlord's size, unarmed, and very human. "I'm the man who remembers what that weakness cost," he said. "And the man who'll make sure Earth never pays that price again." Scar laughed, a deep and rolling sound that filled the hall like thunder. "You remember? Bah! You're a relic with a mouth. Earth's last soldier must be a librarian now." The laughter came again, this time darker. Maddox didn't respond. He reached into his coat and unpinned the small brass insignia on his collar. He placed it gently on the table in front of him. "My badge," he said. "You don't need it. You've already decided what I am." Scar leaned forward, eyes narrowing. "So you come here with nothing? No threat, no battalion behind you?" "I didn't come here with nothing," Maddox replied. He tapped the dog tags resting under his shirt. "I brought memories. And promises." Hours later, the summit adjourned in disorder. Warlords filed out, muttering. Some looked amused. Others curious. Most dismissed him entirely. Maddox walked alone through the stone corridors of the Warlord's spire, his steps echoing against walls engraved with 1,000 years of blood victories. He passed alien statues and war relics without a glance. In his mind, he was somewhere else, Arden Prime, 10 years ago. Flames in the sky. Smoke in his lungs. The last stand of Earth's vanguard. They'd won, but at a price the galaxy had never acknowledged. In the war room's outer lobby, his aide, Lieutenant Hannah Reyes, waited. Younger, cleaner, and visibly nervous. "You held your ground," she said, falling in beside him. "I held our silence," he corrected. "Big difference. They're not going to back down. You saw Scar's face, he's going to invade. Vaeltar's resources are too rich, and Earth isn't feared anymore." Maddox nodded once. "That's the mistake." Reyes paused. "What now?" He stopped at a small, unmarked chamber door. The stone walls hummed softly, a Terran stealth relay embedded inside. He keyed it open, revealing a compact command pod. No banners. No colors. Just steel, cables, and an interface long dormant. He pulled the dog tags from around his neck, holding them up to the scanner. The console blinked. "Code, Grey Phantom, recognized. Sentinel protocol in standby mode. Awaiting activation." Reyes's breath hitched. "You're actually? I thought Earth shelved the blacknet." "They did. On paper." She took a step back, eyes wide. Sir, this would violate every peace clause we signed. Only if I launch a war, he said quietly. I won't. Not unless they force my hand. And if they do? Maddox let the tags drop back to his chest with a dull clink. Then they'll finally understand, he said, voice steel. Why Earth doesn't need warlords. Back in his quarters, Maddox sat on a bench and looked at the stars beyond the viewport. Vailtar's orbit was busy tonight, merchant fleets, mercenary outposts, pirate skiffs pretending to be legitimate. He reached into a locked case and retrieved a small data crystal. He ran his thumb over it slowly. A voice played from within. A man's voice. Faint, recorded years ago. If they laugh at you for being small, Cole, don't fight them. Let them laugh. Let them forget. Then remind them what you're capable of. He closed his eyes. That voice was long dead. But the promise behind it wasn't. Tomorrow, the warlords would mock Earth again. Let them. They hadn't seen the dog tags. Not really. Not yet. The storm came without warning. At dawn, Vailtar's horizon pulsed with gunmetal streaks, dropships descending through the atmosphere in tight formation. By noon, every orbital relay buzzed with encrypted broadcasts. The warlords had made their move. In the summit chamber, Cole Maddox stood alone. The circular room was empty now, no council, no ceremonial guards. Just the echo of a decision already made. His reflection looked back at him in the polished obsidian table, calm, worn, unreadable. He adjusted the collar of his coat and waited. He didn't wait long. The chamber doors opened with a hiss. Warlord Scar entered first, flanked by two armored elites. His helm hung from his side, revealing a face marked by old victories and fresh arrogance. You're still here, he said. I expected you'd run. I don't run, Maddox replied. I document. Scar chuckled and threw a data chip onto the table. Then document this. Vailtar is under Dravuan control. We have revoked Earth's protections and voided the old treaty. Effective immediately. Maddox picked up the chip, examined it, and set it down. So that's it. Just like that. Your planet abandoned strength decades ago. You send diplomats to war zones. You hide behind accords while the galaxy sharpens its teeth. Scar stepped closer, eyes narrowing. Tell Earth this, Dravuan rises. The weak kneel. There was a long pause. Maddox didn't move. Didn't blink. Then he reached into his coat pocket and withdrew a small, weathered envelope. No tech. Just paper. He slid it across the table. What is this? Scar frowned. A reply, Maddox said. From Earth. Scar opened the envelope. Inside, a single sentence, handwritten in Terran Standard. We remember. His face twisted. Is this a joke? Maddox stepped forward. You see silence as weakness. Restraint as fear. You've mistaken the world's quietest soldier for its softest one. He lifted his dog tags, letting them fall against the obsidian with a metallic click. Scar sneered. We're done here. The warlord turned, gesturing to his guards. Strip him of insignia, he barked. Let him walk back to his shuttle with empty hands. The guards moved quickly, one seizing Maddox's shoulder, the other reaching for the diplomatic badge. Maddox didn't resist. As they pulled the patch from his coat, he looked Scar in the eyes. I came here to avoid a war. And failed, Scar replied. No, Maddox said. I succeeded. You just chose to start a new one. Outside, the winds howled over the spire's landing bays. Maddox walked alone down the stone causeway. His coat, now stripped of insignia, flapped in the breeze. Behind him, the banners of the warlords snapped with pride. Lieutenant Reyes met him near the landing pad, her face pale. They're broadcasting planetary lockdowns. Dravuan fleets are assuming orbital control. I saw one of our supply ships get turned away at gunpoint. He kept walking. And Earth? No official response yet. He stopped at the base of the Terran Envoy shuttle and looked up at the silver-gray hull. I need access to the pod, he said. Reyes hesitated. Sir? He turned to her. You know what's coming. They want to provoke Earth into striking first. If we don't respond, they'll steamroll us. If we do, we break the treaty. She nodded reluctantly. They want us to be the villain. Let them think that, Maddox said. Villains are only dangerous if they're predictable. He stepped into the shuttle. The interior was bare, no comfort, just terminals and reinforced plating. Maddox made his way to the back compartment. A narrow hatch led to the hidden interface chamber. He took a breath. Then removed the dog tags from his neck and inserted them into the port. The console hummed. Terran Strike Network, code entry required. He spoke clearly. Grey Phantom. Override protocol. Activate Deadman Beacon. The console pulsed red, then green. Deadman protocol engaged. Sentinel awaits confirmation. Rhea's voice buzzed over the comm. Sir, I'm getting pings on our orbital net. Stealth satellites are aligning. This isn't bluffing. You're lighting the fuse. No, Maddox said quietly. I'm showing them the match. Far above Veiltar, unseen by the naked eye, Terran satellites awoke from hibernation. Their hulls shimmered as cloaking fields dropped. Optic arrays aligned. Relays chirped alive. The Sentinel AI, Earth's last autonomous defense system, blinked into the black. It hadn't seen light in over 20 years. Its first message was short. Command confirmed. Awaiting fire vector. Back inside the shuttle, Maddox sat alone. He replayed the summit in his mind, the mockery, the laughter, the stench of overconfidence. He didn't hate Scar. He pitied him. There was a time Maddox had worn medals too. Real ones. Not honorary tags. He'd commanded Black Ops teams across 12 systems. Lost friends in vacuum. Buried secrets in stars. He'd earned his silence. But Earth had made one mistake. They'd assumed the galaxy wouldn't test it again. Maddox rose. One last action left. He tapped the side of his wrist. A small light blinked beneath his skin. Transmission started. He leaned forward and spoke 3 words into the microphone. Status, Ghost active. The sky cracked open. From the peaks of Veiltar's obsidian mountains to the black waters of its crater lakes, the world watched as silver lines shimmered into view overhead, thin, straight, almost beautiful. They weren't shooting stars. They weren't visible minutes ago. They were Terran assets coming online. Inside the Dravuan command citadel, alarms wailed. Technicians scrambled to recalibrate sensors, trying to identify the dozens of unknown signatures now surrounding their orbital zone. Warlord Scar Dravuan burst into the control deck, armor plates rattling. Report. A Noxorian analyst hissed. They appeared in synchrony. No emissions. No approach signatures. Not cloaked, offline until now. Earth? Scar snapped. Terran frequency protocols match. But the configuration is ancient. AI-driven. These satellites shouldn't even function after 2 decades. The Warlord's jaw clenched. Where is the human? Cole Maddox stood in silence on the Envoy shuttle's dorsal observation deck, eyes on the sky. The Sentinel satellites had activated like dominoes, each feeding data to the next, building a lattice of control over Veiltar's orbit. Reyes stood beside him, pale but composed. They're blind. Dravuan systems can't even get a clean ping. The net is jamming long-range scans and scrambling comms between their forward fleets. Maddox nodded. The first wave is surgical. Reyes glanced at him. So this is real? They built the Phantom grid just like the rumors said? He didn't answer directly. We left ghosts behind after the war. Things that don't exist on maps or reports. This was one of them. She stepped closer. Then what now? Maddox's gaze remained fixed on the stars. Now we remind them that Earth didn't stop fighting. We just stopped broadcasting it. Above, the first action came fast and clean. A Dravuan patrol frigate, stationed just outside Veiltar's orbit, jerked sideways as its guidance failed. Then it fell. Not exploded. Fell. Its thrusters, targeting systems, and comm relays were fried simultaneously by a precision EMP burst. It drifted powerlessly into the upper atmosphere, emergency beacons screaming uselessly. The next target was an orbital cannon array stationed on a nearby asteroid. Its silos sealed themselves. Its AI locked its own operators out. Then it simply shut down, dormant, sealed in a digital chokehold. One by one, the warlord fleet's outer defenses dimmed like candle flames snuffed by an invisible wind. Scar stood at the head of his war table, face pale with something he hadn't felt in years: uncertainty. "We still hold the ground," he barked. "They won't strike our surface troops. Not unless Earth wants another war on its hands." "Sir," one of his generals rasped, "this may already be war." Scar slammed his fist into the table. "We are not afraid of their satellites." "They're not just satellites," a soft voice cut in. Maddox stepped through the command doors uninvited, Reyes at his flank. Dravuan guards moved to intercept, but the warlord raised a hand. "Let him speak." Maddox stopped just short of the war table. "They're not weapons in orbit. They're triggers." Scar narrowed his eyes. "Explain." Maddox tapped his dog tags. "Each one of these controls a node. Each node activates a relay. Each relay connects to a strike cache buried across your outer worlds, dead systems, black sites, ghost outposts. We buried them 20 years ago. Never needed to use them." "You're bluffing," spat one of the aides. Maddox didn't blink. "Then tell your fleet to fire. See what happens next." He turned to the central screen. "Sentinel," he said aloud. The display flickered, then shifted. A rotating hologram appeared, an angular Terran logo surrounded by orbiting satellites. "Grey Phantom," the AI spoke in a neutral, synthetic voice. "Awaiting final command." Scar's voice dropped. "You'd turn this world to ash just to prove a point?" "No," Maddox replied. "That's not how we fight. We don't bomb cities. We don't broadcast threats. We dismantle your war machine before it even knows it's dying." He stepped closer to Scar, voice low. "You mocked my rank. But it was never mine. It belonged to the ones who didn't make it home. My tags hold their codes. Their mission. Their promise." Scar said nothing. Maddox raised his wrist and tapped a new command. Immediately, a 3D model of Veiltar lit up on the screen, dozens of red dots appearing across the terrain. Each one marked a Dravuan supply depot, mech division, or satellite base. "Sentinel strike map initialized," the AI confirmed. "Precision lock confirmed on 42 high-value targets. Non-lethal interdiction available." Reyes whispered, stunned. "You have all of them mapped?" "All of them," Maddox said. "Down to the last footlocker." Scar's fists clenched. "You're trying to humiliate us." "No," Maddox said. "I'm trying to give you a choice." He let the silence settle before delivering the words. "Kneel or vanish." The warlords of the Dravuan Pact held an emergency council that night. Their fleets stayed grounded. No shots were fired. No orders were given. Because they knew now, Earth never forgot. Maddox stood outside the chamber, alone in the dark. Reyes approached quietly. "You think they'll surrender?" "They already have," he murmured. "They just don't want to admit it yet." She looked at him, really looked. "You could have crushed them." "I still might," he said. "If they push again." He turned and walked toward the horizon, toward the shuttle, toward silence. But above him, the stars weren't silent anymore. They were watching. And waiting. The Dravuan banner came down just before midnight. Scar stood on the great stone steps of the warlord citadel, flanked by his silent generals, his fists clenched at his sides. He said nothing as his soldiers lowered the war flag and replaced it with a neutral emblem, white, unmarked, temporary. It wasn't surrender. Not officially. But the message was clear. The Terran envoy had drawn a line. And no one dared cross it. Cole Maddox watched from a distance. Not hidden, not gloating, just present. Arms folded, coat still stripped of insignia, dog tags gleaming under the artificial lights. Lieutenant Reyes stood beside him, a data pad in her hand. "They've grounded their fleet," she said quietly. "Communications are coming in from the outer warlords. Some are calling for ceasefire votes. Others are asking Earth for private talks." Maddox nodded. "They'll want to save face. That's fine. As long as they remember what caused this." Reyes hesitated. "What if they don't?" He looked at her. "Then we remind them again. Faster this time." Inside the council chamber, silence hung heavy. The same men who had jeered just days ago now sat without a word, the war table untouched. Scar was the last to enter. He didn't wear ceremonial armor. Just dark fatigues, worn at the edges. He faced Maddox across the chamber. "I underestimated you," Scar said. Maddox's voice was even. "No. You underestimated who I represent." A pause. "You could have destroyed us," Scar said. "I could have," Maddox agreed. "But it wasn't necessary. Earth didn't come here to conquer. We came to be left alone." Scar stepped forward. "Then why the show of force? Why humiliate us?" Maddox met his eyes. "Because peace doesn't mean weakness. Because restraint doesn't mean submission. You saw Earth's silence and thought we had forgotten how to stand. You laughed at my rank." He stepped closer, dog tags swinging forward with a metallic chime. "But this," he held them up, "wasn't for decoration. These belonged to soldiers who never asked for applause. Who fought, bled, and died before your kind even knew our name." Scar lowered his gaze. "What do you want?" he asked quietly. "A line," Maddox replied. "When you don't cross again." That afternoon, Maddox returned to the Envoy shuttle. The air outside was still. The banners had stopped flapping. Reyes met him by the open ramp. "Orders came in from Earth," she said. "HQ acknowledges de-escalation. They're authorizing full retraction of the Sentinel Protocol." Maddox nodded. "Good." She paused. "You're not uploading the full strike map, are you?" "No," he said. "They don't get to study the sword after they've been spared by it." High above Veiltar, the Sentinel satellites powered down. One by one, they vanished again, silent shapes slipping back into digital invisibility. The stars reclaimed the night. On the planet's surface, Dravuan bases remained untouched but abandoned, their systems unresponsive. Power would be restored. Locks would lift. But the message had been carved into their infrastructure: you were seen, and you were spared. Later that night, Maddox sat alone at the edge of a crater ridge. He removed his coat, set it beside him, and let the wind brush over his shirt. In his hands he held the dog tags. He ran a thumb across each name, one at a time. Most were unreadable now, faded, scratched by years of wear. He remembered them all. Not as soldiers. As people. Jensen, who played guitar on the dropships. Lee, who made bad coffee on purpose. Ramirez, who cracked jokes even with shrapnel in his ribs. None of them had asked to be remembered like this. But he remembered anyway. Reyes approached quietly, 2 steaming cups in hand. She offered him one. "Coffee's terrible," she warned. "Perfect," he muttered, accepting it. They sat in silence for a moment, looking out at the dark horizon. She spoke first. "You ever wonder if we'll have to do it again? Turn the ghosts back on?" Maddox stared ahead. "Probably. You okay with that?" He took a sip. The coffee was terrible. "I'm okay with doing what needs to be done," he said. "But I hope next time they believe us when we say we're done fighting." She leaned back against the stone. "And if they don't?" He smiled faintly. "Then we let the tags speak for themselves." Far above, buried in forgotten orbits, silent watchers waited. The phantom grid went back to sleep, its heartbeat slowed, but not gone. Somewhere in Earth's deep archive, a new log entry recorded the day's events. VLTR incident, resolved. Protocol, successful. Response time, 3 minutes 12 seconds. A subnote was added. Commander Maddox, redeployed. Status, Ghost active. Final line. He came as a relic. He left as a reckoning.